Hello, Terry Reid there in California. How you doing this evening?
I'm doing fine. It's a hell of a way, isn't it? Wow.
Yes, you sound like you're a long way away.
Yeah, right.
Whereabouts are you, Terry?
I live now in Palm Desert. It's called Palm Desert, which is near Palm Springs, Indian Wells, where they have all the tennis championships and all that thing. It's a lot of golf courses and stuff, and it's right out in the desert. An hour from Mexico.
Oh, so you're down south?
Yeah, well, it's southeast.
Now, you were born in, I hope I get the pronunciation, Huntingtonshire?
Oh, cool.
Is that all right?
I don't know what else you'd call it. But
Whereabouts in England is it, and what sort of...
It's a little village way. Huntingdon's 10 miles away. That's the main town you go shopping, right? And then there's another one that's smaller called St Ives, an old market town from William the Conqueror or something like that. Goes way back. You're still digging stuff up all the time, you know what I mean?
Is your family from
And I
there?
live in a village near there. It's way out in there. You know, it's a very pretty countryside now. It's a bit quiet, though, for me. You can hear the pigeons cough at night.
Progress hasn't reached it.
No. You're so bloody quiet at night. I mean, you can hear anything move.
Is your family from there?
Yeah, well, my dad's family's from up Newcastle way, Durham County. My mum's family's from that area. He moved down to there, so that's where, obviously, where I was born there. And then I moved on. You know, I mean, I lived there till I was like 15.
You've still got the accent, is that right?
Oh, you know, elocution lesson.
What would I call your accent?
Oh, Christ, I don't know. I've dragged it around so many bloody places. It's hard to tell anymore.
Right. So what got you into singing?
I don't know. I was always an incurable sort of muso. I always loved music when I was little and that. And, you know, when they go picking fruit and things like that, they'd stick me up on a box. It's like, oh, no, not again, right? And but I loved doing it anyway. You know, when I was little. About, I don't know, 6, 7 or something like that. I don't know, I just sort of absorbed the charts, whatever was on the radio. For some reason, I could sort of remember it all. That's how it started.
So no one in the family was musical or anything like that?
You know, it's funny that, because somebody else was asking me that not too long ago, and I've delved into it, and I can't find anybody.
Oh, so you're the only one?
Yeah, I don't know Albert who had a fiddle, but I don't know what happened to that. Either that or he's on the fiddle, one or the other.
So you started singing all over the place, and then I've got here that you started singing in holiday camps. So how did all that...
That's funny. Well, that's my dad's idea, right? Dad saw the big opportunity. These Butlins holiday camp, it's an opportunity to take the kids and dump them with all these recreational things going on, and, you know, the parents could finally get to see each other, right? You know. But Dad, he sees the opportunity. There's a free holiday and a bit of champagne and something like that, you know, if you win it. I'm going, well, yeah. But what it takes is you have to go through all the heats. You start off, there's about 6 heats, and you have to go every day with these guys called Redcoats, who were lovely guys who had to look after us. Brats, right? And you'd have to go through these heats in the main ballroom. Well, lo and behold, I end up into the finals. But I didn't have a holiday. I figured out what was happening, you know. So they were all having the time of their life, and I never had a holiday because I was too busy in these things, right? But it was some great guys, you know, down there. The Redcoats and that. There were some funny ones, you know.
So but you enjoyed it? I mean, even though you said your dad pushed you, you enjoyed doing all this stuff?
Oh, yeah, I love doing it. I love doing it. But the funny thing was, this is the truth, for some unknown reason, I was doing a song from My Fair Lady called On the Street Where You Live, which is, I can't imagine me. I do it now, and I can handle it, and I love it. But at about 7, 8 years old, I can't imagine. I wish I had a tape. And right at the last minute, my dad got in the finals. He's, you know, here he goes. He's going to be a manager now. So he switches on me. He says, no, you know what you should do? Do that #1 record, Lollipop. And I went, what? Lollipop? Yeah, you nuts? And I said, I bloody hate that. Jesus. Anyway, just go on, you know, that's what they want. Oh, here he goes. And lo and behold, I got up there and, you know, freaked. And I don't know, I forgot it or something and lost the competition. I thought he was going to kill me.
But you've survived. Actually, it's a well-known song here because in the early 70s, a sort of a retro doo-wop band did that and made it a big hit.
I know. You know, as I think back about it, I thought, there's a whole, you can imagine, we're out there on the stage, there's a whole orchestra and band, all these guys up there, right? And I get halfway through and freeze. And the guy says, well, is that it? And I said, yep, that's it. I couldn't I don't know how you can forget Lollipop. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I suppose I've always, I always like doing what I like to do, which sounds a bit much, but I suppose that's when it started.
When did dreams of being a professional?
I don't really know it, but I'll be honest with you. Everybody had their local bands. We all start off, all the lads there and here and everywhere. You get a band, every turn a corner there's a band, right? With the Beatles and everybody and the Stones doing all this, you go, oh, we'll have a bit of that. And everybody had a band, so we're supporting a lot of well-known people, iconic people who've come into the area, and we were support band. Then it got really pretty popular around there, and I was earning some good money. So school was a bit tough, but I get home at 3, 4 in the morning, and oh dear. So my dad's starting to look at this going, this is starting to get a bit thick. And then we start going to London doing things, and I joined a group called Peter, Jane and Jay Walker that were professional. And they'd been around for a while. They toured with the Beatles and they toured with a lot of people, right? Lovely guys. And so my dad said, I don't know. It looks like, you're going to have to move to London. So I'm 15. So was he. He was behind it. He said, well, just get in there. If you're going to do it, that's what you're going to do. And the funny thing was, right at this time I joined them, we played a couple of gigs in London, and the Stones had, I think Mick and Keith were out there scouting it too, looking for somebody to do a tour that they were doing in Europe. And he says, this all sounds a little strange, but talking to Keith later on, he says, we were down at the Marquee. I said, well, I didn't see you. Well, of course, I didn't know him at the time, and they picked us to open a show, 1965-66 tour. Of course, all hell broke loose then.
Oh, yes, the Rolling Stones.
You know what I mean?
I think we read about it in the papers.
So did I. I went back, we were on school break, which is about 5 weeks or something like that, isn't it? So I'm on school break, I go back home hearing all this, and I'm having a beer with my mates and that, so I'm just sort of bagging out, and I'm saying, you'll never guess what. And I told them, thinking, they'll be all happy about this, and they went, get out of here, pull the other one, right? And nobody believed me. So I went, I don't think I'll bring it up anymore. Next thing I know, then we start the tour, and then it was obvious. They're all going, that's it, man. What's he doing on there? And so it all happened a bit quick. So we did, 4 or 5 weeks or something, that tour. So I thought we were all going to play music, all be heard, and it would be lovely. I never heard a bloody thing for about 4 weeks. It was a screaming tour, I'd seen it all on TV, but it was a little different when you're in the middle of it. It was like trying to get in the building with your life and get out with it as well. It was crazy.
I've got here that you were offered the lead singing job in Deep Purple, Spencer Davis Group, and, of course, famously Led Zeppelin, but you turned them all down just to stay with Peter Jay and the Jaywalkers. Is that right?
First of all, you almost got that in an order, but it was very early on, Steve Winwood left Spencer Davis. And like I was just telling you, I knew Spencer Davis when I was in my local group. Right, the Redleys, we were supporting them when they came to the area, and I became real good friends with Spencer. He got us some gigs doing supports around the country, which was really good of him too. So we all became real good friends, and I got to know Steve and Muff Winwood and everybody. Then Steve started this traffic thing, and he was telling me about that, and then he left, and Spence said, offered me the job. That was a little tough to do. Right? Just because when you're stepping into Steve's thing, when I started, I was doing all Steve's and Spencer's songs to start with. He said, well, you know the songs. So I said, I know them all. That's not the point. But you're going to be jumping into doing those covers again. And that's what you would have to do, obviously. That's what people want to hear. So then I'd known Richie Blackmore. Now, that was a funny one because I'd known him from a group called Screaming Lord Such and the Savages.
Oh, yes, he was a legend, wasn't he?
You know about that?
Lord David Such.
Lord David Such, who's a total lunatic, right? Anybody who'd make the band dress in, it was Caesar Such in loinskins. You can imagine standing there with a guitar with loinskins. Now, he paid his band really well, but you look like a real idiot. Everybody's running around all over, and he's swinging from ropes and that. And, it was funny as hell. I knew him from him, so, of course, I knew Richie real well. And we had a lot of laughs doing all that. He was doing that, but that didn't seem, that's not exactly what I wanted to do.
It was a big step for you, Terry, to go into Peter J. So what, did Peter J just see you support one of the local acts? Or
Yeah, we did a gig, like I said, with a support band, and we backed them up. And Peter offered me the job as the lead singer in the band, right? He was looking to change, well, the band was sort of a soul band anyway, and he wanted to add more horns and have a lead singer and really go that way, which that really interested me, because everybody at the time, I was too, everybody's an R&B soul band freak. Anything to do with Otis Redding or Ray Charles was fine by me. That seemed like a really good direction to go in, so that was a lot of fun. I still see Peter, actually. I saw him, a year or so ago.
I've read he runs the Hippodrome.
That's right. His family, yeah, you got it, mate. In Yarmouth, his grandmother used to run the windmill.
He's following the family business.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He runs like a lot of those theatres that he inherited from his father, Jack. Right? So they've always been impresarios. They owned a whole load of theatres in London before the Blitz and that whole thing, but that wiped everybody out.
Has he got you a gig at one of his venues?
Yeah. Well, I actually, when we went to Yarmouth and I went to see him, I spent the night, stayed at his house. He had a club at this time that he was running. It was right near the Hippodrome, actually. And we went to see the circus there. That was a lot of fun. And I played a gig at his club for him. And I said, come on, Pete, get up on the drums. Oh, no, I don't. I said, well, play congas then. So he played congas.
Your first recordings were with Peter J and the Jaywalkers, and then how did Mickey Most enter the picture?
We started to do things that we wanted to record. We did some test copies and things like that down in London. And actually, my friend Graham Nash, who I'd been doing, there's another thing we were doing, support gigs with the Hollies. And I became real good friends with Graham. And Graham, I would just say, took me under his wing. He's always been very helpful to me, real gentleman, and we've been good friends for years. And at this time, if you're going to do a record, you need a producer. He put me in touch with Mickey Most and Rack Records, which was Mickey Most and Peter Grant, which was great. It was good of him. Put me together with all that, and we started making records.
Just like that?
Well, there's a lot of people don't help people. I had no idea what to do. What? Do I just go and knock on a door and, hey, I'm here? So who the hell are you?
Exactly.
Get out, right?
Yeah.
So I just thought with me and Peter were pitching at things, and then Graham suggested all this, and it came together.
And of course, I know the name Peter Grant because he managed a little band called Led Zeppelin a bit later on.
Yeah, little band, mate. Yeah, right. No, he managed the Yardbirds, all 23 of them. Yardbirds number 14. See, he managed Jimmy Page for years and all the incarnations of the Yardbirds. And that was when I started doing that tour I was talking about in 65, 66. That was one Yardbirds. I knew the one before with Jeff Beck, and that from the Marquee Club. And Eric Clapton played for a few minutes with them. There was different incarnations of it, right? The one when we did the 65, 66 tour was Jeff Beck and Jimmy Page in the same band. That was not going to fly, right? You shout solo and both of them run forward.
Yeah,
so.
When two egos collide.
Well, I'm putting it lightly here,
Yeah.
right? I'm putting it very lightly. I think that's where the dual guitar thing started, because neither one would give up.
At least I got the dual guitar thing going.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's how it started.
Yeah.
No, Jeff would laugh at that one. He'd say, yeah, very good, Terry. That's very funny. Peter Grant, originally before that, the way it started was he was a wrestling promoter. There was guys like people in Australia might know from people like Mick McManus. Guy had a big black strip down his head and that. He was a big guy. I think he managed Mick McManus. Or he was telling me this all one time. He managed a lot of those wrestling artists now, which is, a lovely business. You put it this way, he had a real good run in before he had rock and roll bands, right? Peter Grant, I'll be honest with you, he was a square manager. What you agreed to and what you were going to get, he would make sure you got it. Being on the other side, if you refused to give it to him, now I don't know. I wouldn't go there myself.
Yeah.
It's not the right... Well, he's a wrestling promoter. You don't do that.
Well, he had a reputation for really protecting Led Zeppelin.
Well, things did get a bit out of hand, but other than that, I was knowing him, he was my manager for a long while, after Mickey Most as well.
Oh, look, I don't know if you check the internet, but there's this great little quote, and it's got Led Zeppelin's best singer, and it's got ? Terry Reid.
Yeah.
Do you like
I
that?
remember them days well.
Oh, you like that?
The way that all came down was Jimmy was running around. I just come after, I'd done a tour the year before with Eric Clapton and Cream and all that, and we'd been touring all over. And I'd seen a lot of Jimmy, actually. And like I said, I've known him for years anyway. Like all these guys. And he was putting this band together, and he asked me, and he asked, I think he asked Steve Marriott, and he asked Steve Winwood, and he asked everybody in town. He's trying to put a band together, right? I don't know how it came about that he went and did this thing of, Terry turned it down. I don't know what made him say that, because he didn't say Steve Marriott turned it down, but I said to Steve, well, bloody hell, you've got like about 15 #1 records. I don't quite see the point. Unless it's going to be one of them star bands or something, I'm not sure, right? Anyway, but what happened was I was working with Jim on the thing, because I agreed it would be great to put a group together, and I was going to go out with the Rolling Stones to do another tour.
You could survive another one, Terry?
Yeah, I survived. Yeah, the next one was 69 tour. Tells you everything.
Yeah.
To behave,
Yeah.
really. Come on, we're on the radio. So, but never was a true word said.
Yeah.
So the parties and holy moly, gee, beer. 48 cities in a row. Never had so much bloody fun in my life, I tell you. Jesus, God, dear. Anyway, other than that, I was going to go and do that, which I would sadly have missed. I said to Jim, well, look, we'll give it a shot when I get back. Oh, no, I want to do it now. And I'd seen Robert Plant and John Bonham in the group. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, I just played a gig with them. You've got to talk to them. I think that would be a great thing, the way Robert sings and all this. It would fit perfectly with what you want to do. Right, this harpsichord solo thing, and doing that with a hard rock thing. I just should give it a shot. And he said, well, what does he look like? I said, what do you mean, what does he look like? I'm trying to explain how he sings, I said, it looks better than you. And didn't go there. Well, anyway, so I talked to Peter Grant, because he was like, I don't know. And Peter Grant helped me get him down there. And they got a rehearsal together. So it's Peter Grant really was more responsible for making sure it got together.
But anyway, look, back to you, Terry. So you had the Bang Bang Terry Reid album, and you had the self-titled album, Mickey Most, and they did all right, didn't they?
Oh, yeah. It was a start into things, you know what I mean? And you had to start, and it was just a matter of hitting it and wondering what the hell would happen next. Just keep going, otherwise you didn't know. When we cut those albums, they were cut in the studio.
Were you happy with them?
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. Nobody's ever totally happy with them.
Exactly.
Everybody says, I'd like to have done this, like to have done that. But when I listen back to them, they were honest. It was what it is that's exactly what it was. I think there was one overdub here and one overdub there or something. But the recording quality of them was pretty good.
Well, they still stand up because they've been re-released on the Super Lungs compilation. They did a great job re-releasing all the tracks.
Yeah, they put a lot of the outtakes in.
And to listen to your Peter J stuff too,
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing was with that, the others were done at Delane Lee, a smaller studio in London, where Jeff Beck was doing all that when Rob was with him, and Donovan recorded, and with, all Mickey's artists and that, right? And I think, and Eric with the Animals, they recorded there too. But when we did the Peter J ones, we did those all at Abbey Road.
Big time.
When you listen to that, you can hear like the difference in the sound. It's this big sound.
Abbey Road stands for quality with a capital Q, doesn't it?
I walked in, I couldn't believe it. I thought I was dreaming. They wanted to do a thing with adding the whole band with it as well, the Johnny Harris's band, it was Tom Jones's. And I walked in and said, excuse me, and went into the booth, and they said, what are you doing? I said, that's your band. I said, are you serious? We cut a lot of things there with Peter and with the big band and all this different stuff.
Now, around this time that you were doing some of the big festivals like the Isle of Wight, which was huge, the Doors were there and Jimi Hendrix was there, and you were there too, so...
Yeah, I think we were.
Yeah. Well, I've got footage to prove that you were there, so...
Yeah, no, I know I was there. I remember it well. Many fond memories.
What was life like there at the top, Terry?
You figure, well, if this is the top, I can't imagine what the bottom is. We're all wandering around in the mud, and it's the same as I did Glastonbury about 4 years ago, and it was a real mud pit. And I thought, here we go again. I think it strips everybody down to their basic thing. No, I don't care if you're a big rock star or what you are. You have to just put up with all that and just get a little humble, get in a trailer and and shut up.
Yeah. Well, they've got footage of you at Glastonbury, and you're there with Linda Lewis. And
yeah, right. Linda,
yeah, you do such a fantastic version of Dean, you and Linda. And
I know. I don't know what happened there. It just went off into the ozone.
looking back on it, I'd never seen it before, and I thought, it's a mind blow. It's just fantastic. I just love that version.
Well, it's just amazing now because all it was, I think, but Mike Evis, who runs it, who originated it, he was talking to me when we were down there, and I said, well, how many people were there at the first one? Because to me, it's an enormous area. To me, it didn't seem like there was a scattering of people, but there was still about, 10,000 people. But I suppose the size of the area, when you spread all that out, it just looks like a garden party, you know?
Yeah.
Just a lot of people around the front, but that pyramid stage they got the bright idea to make, which went miles up in the air. If you fell off there, that was it, right? And it was only made out of scaffolding boards too, so it would bounce in the middle. You'd start a song off and people out in the wings would be tapping their feet, and you'd be springing up in the middle, right? Sort of like a springboard. Funny, it looked great from the outside with all the mylar on it, but when you were on it, it looked, I hope this thing's joined together.
Was that just Linda popping up just to sing along, or was it planned?
She was just run on and started singing. Right? I thought, okay, well, that's what we're going to do. Let's go. And actually, just not this year, but last year, I did Glastonbury, and she was there as well. We got together.
Oh, excellent.
Right?
We did a Blossom Toast special. I don't know if you remember the Blossom Toast.
Yeah, I remember them. Of course I do.
And we had Mr. Linda Lewis on the show, Jim Cregan, who was married to Linda for a long time. And, of course, Jim played with Rod Stewart for a long time.
With Rod, with the lads and that, yeah.
Terry, I've got here that you had a top 10 hit. Well, one of your songs had made the top 10 with a band called Arrival. So did you know about that? Did they tell you that they were going to cover it?
I knew the guys in that,
okay.
And they were going to... Well, I knew it when they were going to do it. I went down and saw them and said, this is great, and I, listened to them play it, and then the next thing I know, it turned into a big hit, but then I'd already sort of started moving to the States. I was more or less here.
The weather's much better there, yeah?
Well, yeah, you can say that again, yeah. Well, you're in Australia, so it's, hey.
Well, I went to England in September, and I was there for 10 days, and I saw about 5 minutes of sunshine.
Yeah, well, I was just over there. I just got back about 2 or 3 weeks ago to Aberdeen, and it was 3 below. I went, that's it. I'm going home. I've had enough of this.
I'm not used to that sort of weather, I'm afraid.
Yes, I know. I better be careful. He might put me on one of them trawlers going looking for some cod or something. That's all I need.
Yeah. Now, Terry, look, there was a big... Well, back in those days, it was a huge gap. 4 years between the Terry Reid self-titled and River, and I believe Mickey Most stopped you...
Yeah, well, there was a
bit of a legal hassle.
I wanted to, basically, there was a whole different thing coming on, and I didn't want to do that. Like, what he wanted to do, the kind of direction he wanted to go, and like Steve Wynn was like in Traffic doing them kind of, and Eric's off in another, and I wanted to do a different thing. I basically wanted to be free and do all sorts of things like Latin music. It's just what I wanted to do. There wasn't that sort of freedom, and Peter Grant seemed to understand it very well, to be honest with you. He said, well, I don't blame you. He says, he says, you should be able to do what kind of music you want to do. Everything's changing. There was a real big change going at that time. So, of course, as soon as I said, I don't want to do that, Jordan, there was this, I said, well, I'm off. I'm out of this. So my attorneys took care of that. But he put an injunction on me. It wouldn't let me out of the record contract. So I turned around and put a band together because I thought, well, forget it. I just want to play. Got David Lindley from the States to come over, which was one of the best things I ever did musically. I mean, I really enjoyed doing it because it was a mixture of like a country kind of blues kind of guitar player with Lee Miles, who was with Ike and Tina Turner. I met him, and he played with the Temptations and everybody. All those things you loved. And then Alan White on drums. And myself, and it was a hell of a band. That's what the band that we played at the Isle of Wight, basically.
And Glastonbury, because I saw David Lindley playing his slide.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was that band. You got it.
Yeah.
Right. And that was fantastic. We couldn't make a record at the time. Then when we finally got out of the thing, which Armand Ertigan sort of helped me do that because he signed me to Atlantic. And he did a tap dance in there somewhere. I'm not sure what happened. But next thing I know, we were making a record. And I thought, fine. And then the group, we'd been together quite a while. And then everybody started going different directions, which is fine. And they all went to America. That was the thing, right? So I figured, all right, well, I'm off. Ahmed said to me, why don't you come over to the States and finish the album in the States? So half of River was done in England, and half of it, I took a break, and then I started up again and started recording at Wally Hyder's in LA, which is a whole other ballgame. Right?
Exactly.
Then I ended up with Willie Bobo and timbales, all went nuts. Great.
Next was Seed of Memory in 76, a bit of a gap there again, and I know who's a big fan of Seed of Memory is Rob Zombie, because he stuck 3 of your songs.
I know.
Three of your songs.
Amazing. Well, it's funny how that happened, because Rob wasn't familiar with me, and he's doing that movie, Devil's Reject. They're looking for music, and there's a very good friend of mine, Joe High, who was running Lionsgate Films at the time, which it was on, right? I've known him for a long time, and he loves Seed of Memory, that album, every time I talk to him. So he says to Rob was looking for something in the movie that wasn't obvious, like Born to be Wild, you know, things that they've used a lot in movies, something in the background, not to take the attention off what he was going to do to these people on the movie, which is basically murder them all. You know?
Yes.
Shock value. So you needed something in the background that was indigenous of the era. So he wanted one song. So he played him Rob the album, and Rob came back and went, "Oh, I love this album. Oh, there's 3 I've got to use in the movie." And I said to Joe, "What the hell happened?" He said, "I don't know." He said, he loves the album. He said, "Next thing he'll use all of them." But that was really very flattering.
Speaking of movies, I want to talk about the Driver album. I read somewhere where you wrote the Driver for the Days of Thunder film, but it didn't get used.
I was working with Trevor Horn. So we put an album together, and we got all these different things going on. I was recording it in England, and Trevor's involved, and they wanted to get something involved. Now, there comes along this opportunity. Tom Cruise was doing this movie called Days of Thunder, which originally started off on the basis, I don't know if you remember this, but they had this big budget, as Tom would have, and he wanted to accentuate this thing about this racing driver that died of AIDS. That was the whole thing in the movie, but he died of a transfusion. It wasn't because of what he'd been doing. And they were trying to make this point, but at the time, it was very early for people's consciousness to get their head around it. So it's a big fight with the companies. And that's what happened while the movie sort of disappeared a bit afterwards. They wanted a big movie, right? They wouldn't go for it. They changed the script and everything. So while they're doing all that, the guy who was doing the music was Hans Zimmer. Now, Hans Zimmer was in The Art of Noise, which was one of the original bands that Trevor Horn was in with him. So you see what I mean? Trevor says to me, he says, "Well, they want us to write a song for the movie." And I went, "Well, okay, that's great, with Hans Zimmer." I said, "Fantastic. Well, he was in Art of Noise with you." He says, "Yes, I know, Terry, I know." And I said, "Well, what's the matter?" He said, "Well, it's going to be a bit difficult." I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, because I fired him."
No.
I said, "Oh, great. Now you tell me." Then we written up, we stayed up all one night, and I wrote that's on that Driver album. I wrote the whole song around a backing track. Exactly what the background is that you're hearing other than me singing. It's a backing track. It's the most expensive backing track I ever heard in my life, you know. It's a 50 grand backing track, right?
Wow.
You know? When we went down the next day to record it, of course, the 2 of them, there was a little edge there. I thought, God, how do I get myself in the middle of these things? But Hans was really nice to me. He was great. Ended up choosing Billy Idol's version. I don't know. Well, whatever. You know, I was real proud of what I did, because we only had 24 hours to put a song together on top of it. And recently, I just did that same kind of thing again, which turned out really out there. There's a guy called DJ Shadow who's enormous all over the place. It's probably down there too, you know. It's a different genre, but a great cat. He called me up and he says, "I've got this backing track. Here we go again." He says, "I haven't got a lot of time," but he says, "I'm going to Asia or something, and I'd love to see if you could put a song on it." I said, "Give me the track. Let me listen to it. I'll see if I could do something." As it was, it turned overnight. I just jumped on it. By 3 a.m, I got the whole thing finished. Whole thing, a backing track, backing vocals, and a guitar part in the background. And he said, I called him, and he says, "What do you mean you finished?" I said, "Well, I played it on the phone." And he goes, "That's it. When can you come up?" I said, "About tomorrow." So I flew up to San Francisco. We spent 8 hours in the studio. That's it. And we'd finished.
It's a great song, Terry. I love it.
Yeah, that's what,
it really
what
works.
you hear is what you get.
It works well.
I love it. It's great.
Getting back to the Driver, a good friend of mine, Jeremy Smith, he's a big fan of yours, and I think after the Driver got released, I go over to his place and he's got the CD there, and he says, "Oh, look, Terry Reid's released a new CD." And I said, "Oh, okay." And he gives it to me, and I say, whenever these 60s and 70s guys, they release a new album, it's always disappointing. Anyway, I said, no, you take it home home, have a listen. Anyway, so I took it home, had a listen, and I thought, oh, this is fantastic. And Terry, it's my favourite Terry Reid album. I just love it.
Oh, God, I wonder what you were going to say out of that one.
No, look, I mean...
And you know that album you did, don't ever do that again.
No, why haven't you done a studio album since? Because...
Well, no, actually, funny you should say that. It's great you say that. So I'm just in the middle of negotiating the deal at the moment. I'm going to start an album in January.
No, look, it's about time.
Yeah, and I mean, a real album, you know, not one in somebody's garage. No, I'm always recording. I have a stack of equipment up to the ceiling here, you know, I have all sorts of stuff, but I don't consider that an album. If you're doing an album, you're doing it with the backing, and then you can get the right musicians that you love to play these songs simply. Better than musicians, the less they play.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you turn up with a bunch of bumblebees.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, guitar players are like it's like the flight of the bumblebee. You go into a solo, and when you come out of the solo, you can't remember what the bloody song was you were playing. Nah, I'm just joking.
Yeah.
But this album that I'm doing is really off the wall. There's a lot of very Spanish stuff, some that leans Brazilian, some that leans Mexican. I'm going to use like a mariachi band in with singers and all, the whole deal, right? This is a whole different deal. The songs are written that way. It's not like I'm trying to make songs go that way for the music. It's just certain songs are in that vein. It's hard to describe because it's what I do, so that it's just the way the songs I'm going to arrange the music to the songs.
We look forward to it, Terry. We can't wait to hear it.
Well, me and all, God.
Get it done.
I'm still touching wood, and my rabbit's foot's got no hair on it anymore. I mean, I only rub it so much. But no, honestly, it's looking really good. It's looking that this is definitely going to come together. I've been singing a lot with a friend of mine called Rumour. I don't know if your record was there. Have you seen that?
No, but I saw you on YouTube singing a song with Rumour.
She's a lovely girl, and God, she has this beautiful voice, and I'm going to be working with her a bit. We're going to do a gig together in LA, and then me and DJ Shadow are going to get together and do something, and then there's all these different things going on, different things. And so it's a blessing, really. You know, nice to just be mixing it up with people, you know.
There's one group that I want to ask you about, which I haven't heard of, called Shine.
Oh, yeah,
French band.
Yeah, they called me up and they wanted me. Well, did you get a load of this? You get a phone call, right? They're lovely guys.
Could they speak English?
And they're a young set of guys, and they say, "Would you like to?" Now, listen to this. You're sitting there. Now, my wife is listening to the conversation, right? So it says, "Would you like to come to Paris for 10 days and do some recording with us? And we'll pay you and get you a hotel right on the Seine, on the left bank, and all this." And I said, Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, okay. How much? My wife's like in the other room listening. Right now, so I go in and I say, "Oh, honey, I'm going to Paris to produce the recording." Huh? Yeah, on your own. Yeah, I bet you are. That's what you did. And I'd already sorted it out. And they said, "Yeah, bring your wife and everything," but she didn't hear that bit. It was lovely. It was really nice. We had a great time. And it was interesting because what I was doing, I like to do that, is it was their songs and they wanted me to just, well, I would stylize, that's a bit pompous to say that. They wanted me to put my thing on it or something, I don't know. Just to say, for me to sing and sing them how I saw them. And they gave me the freedom to do that. And it turned out real good. It was very interesting. It's totally different material, but I love that. I love a challenge like that. It's great.
There's a nice film clip of one of the songs on YouTube.
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Terry, I just want to also mention, before we have to go, time's running out, you've got a CD out called Live in London.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so what that is, that's yours is coming out, yeah. And it came out this month, right? And what it is I've been playing Ronnie Scott's in London for the last 45 years. No, that's silly. I've been playing it for like the last 8-9 years. Wow. And each time I play it, I get together with this great bunch of different musicians, and we swap and change according to who's busy and who's not. It's like a lottery draw, right? But we all know each other so well from doing the gig. It's like a 6-piece band. This was the one night where after we actually, God bless, lost a couple of guys along the way, you know, and doing it that long, right? We still kept doing it, and this night just was the one night we recorded it, and I listened back to it and went, I don't believe this is us. The recording was great, the whole thing, and the patter, I got all these jokes in. Oh dear, some funny ones in there. It's half comedy and it's half a CD. The songs all came out real good. and it's real loose, and it just sounds tremendous. It's like a double album. It's like 2.5 hours or so, I think we played. That's a real good one. It's on Cadiz Records.
Available on the internet. Our listeners can get hold of a copy. And all right, Terry, look, we better leave it there. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Well, you go invite me over. I've never been to Australia. I'm dying to come to Australia. I would, God, I probably wouldn't get home for I don't know how long. God. I got so many friends down there, you know, that I bump into. Oh, dear.
It's about time you visited.
It would? Yeah. It's exactly what I think. There's a couple of different things.
And the weather's good here too, by the way.
Oh, I know that. I know that.
Yeah.
I know. Love it. I was playing Hong Kong for a long time. Did it like 12 times. A lot of the lads' businesses now is in Hong Kong. The club would slowly get more and more fill every night with Australian lads. It turned up where there was no Chinese left anymore. It was like, I suppose me buying them around the drinks didn't help. But anyway,
don't encourage them, Terry. Don't encourage them. That's
I didn't. There was only 12 of them at the beginning.
All right then, Terry, look, I'll let you go. Look, thanks very much. It's been a pleasure. You've given me a lot of pleasure listening to your stuff. I mean, I love the old stuff, but I also love the Driver too. And I love the DJ Shadow track. It's fantastic too. So,
well, you're very kind, man.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. Look, it's a blessing.
No,
really.
I call it as I see it. And it's
only way, mate.
It's really good that you're still producing really great stuff. Not many people can keep up the quality control.
Well, you know, if you ain't having fun with it, hang it up. If you're not into it anymore, I don't think that's very sincere anyway. If you feel that you've got to do it, mind you, there's a bunch of things I'd love to do, but I don't get around to. But then all of a sudden I pick up a guitar and here we go again. Right? It's what I love doing, you know. Well, I think it's the people you get to hang with well, and the musicians, and that's what we do. We love it.